A billionaire CEO was about to sign the deal of her life when a 5-year-old girl approached her in the park with 7 words that would destroy everything. "I know who you really are, Mommy." What this child knew about a secret Victoria Sterling had buried 20 years ago would expose a conspiracy involving Valentine Hospital, a forged death certificate, and the real reason she never had children. You're about to discover how a chance meeting in a Boston park revealed the most twisted adoption scandal in history, why a dying woman orchestrated this encounter from her deathbed, and how 3 DNA tests would prove that nothing about this meeting was coincidental. Stay until the end, because the truth about who Sophie really is will make you question everything you believe about fate versus manipulation. Victoria Sterling sat on that November morning in Boston Common, her $3,000 coat doing little to warm the cold emptiness inside her. At 35, she was worth $500 million, ran one of the largest media empires in New England, and had just been featured on the cover of Forbes. But she was completely, utterly alone. Her phone buzzed with the contract details for the acquisition that would make her a billionaire before 40. She was reading through the terms when she heard it. A small voice, clear, deliberate. "Excuse me, Mommy?" Victoria's blood froze. She looked up to find a little girl, maybe 5 years old, blonde hair in messy pigtails, holding a worn teddy bear. The child's blue eyes, those eyes looked exactly like, "I think you're confused, sweetie. I'm not your mommy." The girl tilted her head, studying Victoria with an intensity that seemed impossible for her age. "That's not what Grandma Helen said before she died. She said I should find you here, on this bench, on this exact day. She said you'd be wearing a camel coat and checking your phone. She said you'd pretend not to know me at first." Victoria's hands started trembling. Helen. Her mother's name was Helen. Her mother, who supposedly died in a car accident 20 years ago, right after Victoria's incident. What did you say your grandma's name was?" "Helen Sterling. She died last week, but she left me this." Sophie pulled out a yellowed hospital bracelet from her pocket. It read, "Baby Girl Sterling, November 15th, 2004, Valentine Hospital." Victoria couldn't breathe. That was impossible. Her baby had died. The doctors at Valentine Hospital had told her. She'd seen the death certificate. She'd grieved for months, years. If a child approached you claiming to be the baby you were told died 20 years ago, would you believe them or run? What would be your first move? Comment below. "Where's your father?" Victoria managed to whisper. "Daddy's over there." Sophie pointed to a man on a nearby bench talking on his phone. "His name is James Wilson. He adopted me when I was a baby. But Grandma Helen said you're my real mommy. She said you were very young and very scared, and they told you I died so you could have a better life." The world tilted. Victoria gripped the bench to keep from falling. At 15, she'd gotten pregnant. Her parents, prominent Boston society members, were horrified. They'd hidden her away, made her give birth in secret at Valentine Hospital. But the baby had died. Or so they told her. They said it was better this way. She could go to college, build a career, forget it ever happened. But the baby hadn't died. The baby was standing right in front of her. James Wilson approached, ending his call. "Sophie, sweetheart, I told you not to bother." "Wait." He stopped, staring at Victoria. "Oh my God, you're her. You're Victoria Sterling. You knew?" Victoria's voice cracked. James sat down heavily on the bench. "I knew we'd meet eventually. Helen, your mother, she tracked us down 3 months ago. She was dying of cancer. She said she needed to make things right before she passed. She told me everything." "Everything?" "About how your parents paid off the hospital staff, about how they forged the death certificate, about how they arranged the private adoption through illegal channels because they couldn't bear the scandal of their teenage daughter having a baby." The revelation continues. But here's the question. Could you forgive your parents for faking your baby's death? Or would this betrayal be unforgivable? Victoria turned to Sophie, who was watching with those impossibly familiar blue eyes. You're really your daughter?" "Yes," Sophie said matter-of-factly. Grandma Helen showed me pictures. She kept them hidden all these years. She said you used to sing to me when I was in your tummy. You are my sunshine. Do you remember? Victoria's sob escaped before she could stop it. She did remember. She'd sung that song every night for 9 months, her hand on her growing belly, promising her baby girl she'd always love her, even though she had to give her away. But my parents, they said you died. They had a funeral. There was a tiny coffin. James pulled out his phone, showing her documents. Helen gave me these, internal Valentine Hospital records, the real ones. Dr. Marcus Chen, he wasn't chief of neurosurgery then, just a resident. He signed off on the false death certificate. Your parents donated $10 million to the hospital's new wing that year. Marcus Chen. Victoria knew that name. He was famous now, one of the most respected surgeons in Boston. He'd been part of this conspiracy. There's more, James said quietly. Helen said there were other babies, other rich families who wanted their teenage daughter's mistakes to disappear. Valentine Hospital had a whole system. They called it the Sterling Protocol, named after your family since you were the first. Victoria felt sick. How many mothers had grieved for babies who were actually alive? How many children had grown up not knowing their real parents were told they were dead? Sophie tugged on Victoria's coat. Grandma Helen said you became sad after I died. I mean, after you thought I died. She said you never had other babies because you felt too guilty. She said you built a big company instead of a family. Is that true? It was true. Every word. Victoria had thrown herself into her career, unable to bear the thought of having another child after losing her first. She'd had her tubes tied at 25, convinced she didn't deserve to be a mother after letting her baby die. But her baby hadn't died. Her baby was standing right here, healthy and beautiful and alive. If you discovered your child you mourned for 20 years was alive and well, would you try to get custody or respect the family that raised them? Why now? Victoria asked James. Why did Helen wait until she was dying? Guilt, I think. She knew what she'd done was wrong. She wanted to make it right before she faced whatever comes next. She tracked me down through the adoption records. Illegal as they were, they still left a paper trail. She told me Sophie deserved to know the truth, that you both did. How long have you known? 3 months. I wanted to tell Sophie right away, but Helen insisted we wait. She said November 15th, Sophie's birthday. Your birthday too, right? She said it had to be this exact day, this exact place. This bench is where you used to come to cry after they told you the baby died. Victoria nodded numbly. She'd come here every November 15th for 20 years, mourning the daughter she'd never met, except she was meeting her now. I need to show you something else, James said, pulling out more papers. Helen gave me a list. 17 names. 17 other families involved in the Sterling Protocol between 2004 and 2010. She had evidence on all of them. Victoria looked at the names. Some she recognized, prominent Boston families, old money, new money, all with teenage daughters who'd had unfortunate situations that needed to go away. We have to expose this, Victoria said. These families need to know. That's why Helen chose you, James interrupted. You own a media empire. You have the power to reveal this without it being buried. She said you were the only one who could make sure the truth came out. Sophie climbed onto the bench between them. Does this mean you're my mommy for real? Not pretend? Victoria looked at this little girl, her daughter, and felt 20 years of grief transform into something else. I've always been your mommy. They just told me you went to heaven. But I didn't go to heaven. I went to Dorchester with Daddy. Sophie looked at James with obvious adoration. He's a good daddy. He makes pancakes and reads stories and only works regular hours so he can be home with me. You've done an amazing job, Victoria told James, meaning it. She's wonderful. She's had a hole in her heart, James said quietly. Not medical, emotional. My wife died 2 years ago, cancer. Sophie's been asking about her birth mother more and more. When Helen contacted me, it felt like fate. It wasn't fate, Victoria said, anger building. It was manipulation. 20 years of manipulation. Her phone rang. The caller ID made her freeze. Valentine Hospital. Ms. Sterling? This is Dr. Marcus Chen. I understand you've discovered some information about an incident from 2004. I think we should meet immediately. Would you meet with the doctor who signed your baby's fake death certificate, or would you call the FBI first? Victoria put the phone on speaker. Dr. Chen, how interesting that you're calling me right now. There are things you don't understand, Ms. Sterling. Complications. Please, meet with me before you do anything rash. You mean before I expose the Sterling protocol? Silence. Then, how do you know that name? My mother told me, on her deathbed. She told me everything. Your mother, Helen Sterling, is dead? Last week. But she left quite a paper trail. 17 families, Dr. Chen. 17 babies declared dead who weren't. It's not what you think. Then explain it to me. Explain why you told me my baby died. Explain why you let me grieve for 20 years. Oh, Sophie pressed closer to Victoria, sensing the tension. James put a protective arm around his daughter. Not over the phone, Dr. Chen said. The hospital. 1 hour. Boardroom. There are others who need to be part of this conversation. Others? The other families. We've been monitoring the situation since Helen started reaching out. We know she contacted several of them. They're all here, Miss Sterling. They all want answers. Victoria looked at James, who nodded. We'll be there. We? I'm bringing my daughter and her adoptive father. They deserve to hear this too. Another silence. 1 hour. The line went dead. Sophie looked up at Victoria with those blue eyes. Her grandmother's eyes, Victoria realized now. Her mother's eyes. Are we going to get in trouble? No, sweetheart. The people who lied are going to get in trouble. Grandma Helen said she was sorry. In her letter, the one she left for you. Sophie pulled out an envelope from her little backpack. She said to give this to you after we talked. Victoria's hand shook as she opened her mother's final letter. My dearest Victoria, by the time you read this, you'll know the truth. I'm sorry doesn't begin to cover what we did to you. Your father and I thought we were protecting you, giving you a chance at a normal life. We were wrong. Sophie is extraordinary. You would be so proud. James has been a wonderful father to her, but she needs you too. She needs to know where she comes from, who she really is. The Sterling protocol was my idea. After we arranged Sophie's death, other families in our circle quietly asked for the same service. I facilitated it all, convinced I was helping. I see now, I was just multiplying our sin. Dr. Chen wasn't evil, just young and pressured by the hospital administration who needed our donations. The current chief, Dr. Harrison, knows everything. He's been waiting for this day, preparing for the scandal. I've left you all the evidence in a safety deposit box, box 472 at Boston Private. The key is taped under your father's grave marker. He never agreed with what we did. It killed him slowly, the guilt. Make this right, Victoria. You have the power now. Save the other families from 20 more years of lies. And please, if you can, forgive me. Not for my sake. I don't deserve it. But for yours and Sophie's. Don't let my sin poison another generation. All my love, Mother P.S. Sophie's favorite color is purple. She's allergic to strawberries, and she dreams of being a doctor. Just things a mother should know. Could you forgive a parent who stole 20 years with your child? Or are some betrayals too big? Victoria was crying now. Huge, gulping sobs. 20 years of suppressed grief pouring out. Sophie climbed into her lap, small arms wrapping around her neck. Don't cry, Mommy. It's okay. We found each other. Grandma Helen said that's what matters now. The word Mommy broke something open in Victoria's chest. She held Sophie tight, breathing in the scent of her hair, children's shampoo and crayons, and something indefinable that whispered, mine. We should go, James said gently. Face whatever's waiting at the hospital. They stood, Victoria still carrying Sophie, unwilling to let go. As they walked toward the parking area, Sophie said something that chilled Victoria to the bone. Grandma Helen said there's one more secret, a bigger one. She said Dr. Chen would tell you about the twin. What twin? Victoria stopped walking. Sophie scrunched up her face, trying to remember. She said something about twins and a switch, and how not all the Sterling protocol babies went to adoption. She said one stayed at the hospital. She said to ask Dr. Chen about patient 0. James and Victoria exchanged looks. Patient 0. 45 minutes later, they walked into Valentine Hospital, the same hospital where Victoria had given birth, where she'd been told her baby died, where this nightmare had begun. The boardroom was full. Victoria recognized many faces. Boston society, all looking shell-shocked. Dr. Marcus Chen stood at the head of the table, looking older than his years. Beside him, a woman Victoria didn't recognize, holding a folder marked "Confidential." "Ms. Sterling," Dr. Chen began, "before we discuss the Sterling protocol, there's something else you need to know. Sophie wasn't your only child that night. You had twins." The room spun. "What? Fraternal twins? A boy and a girl? Your parents only knew about Sophie. The boy, there were complications, severe disabilities. Your parents refused to take him. They said one baby could be hidden, adopted out. But a disabled child would raise questions, create records, need lifetime care. Where is he?" Victoria's voice was deadly quiet. "Here. He's been here all along. Ward 7, the long-term care facility. We've called him John Doe for 20 years. Your parents paid for his care, but insisted he remain anonymous." Victoria thought she might be sick. "You're telling me my son has been in this hospital for 20 years. He's well cared for. Take me to him, now." "If you found out your disabled child had been hidden in a hospital for 20 years while you grieved, what would you do? Could any explanation justify this?" The walk toward 7 felt endless. Sophie held Victoria's hand. James flanked her other side. Behind them, the other families followed like a funeral procession. The room was bright, cheerful even, and in the bed, a young man lay connected to various machines. He had Victoria's dark hair, her nose, but his eyes were vacant, unseeing. "Severe brain damage during delivery," Dr. Chen explained. "He's alive but not conscious, never has been. Your parents thought it would be cruel to tell you, to make you grieve 2 children instead of 1. Victoria approached the bed slowly. This was her son, her baby boy. She'd never even known he existed. A nurse entered, an older woman who gasped when she saw Victoria. "You came, finally. I've been waiting 20 years for you to come. You knew." The nurse, her name tag read Mary, nodded. "I was there that night. I've been taking care of him ever since. I sing to him, you know. You are my sunshine." Somehow, I felt like his mother would want that. Victoria's legs gave out. James caught her, guided her to a chair. Sophie climbed back into her lap. "We have 2 choices," Dr. Chen said to the room. "We can expose everything, destroy the hospital, ruin dozens of lives, traumatize the children who were adopted. Or we can handle this quietly. Financial compensation, therapy, reunification where appropriate, justice without destruction. You want to buy our silence?" One of the other mothers spoke up. "I want to minimize damage to innocent parties. The adopted children don't deserve to have their lives destroyed by our mistakes." Victoria looked around the room at the other parents, all wealthy, all powerful, all broken by the revelation that their children were alive. Then she looked at Sophie, happy and well-adjusted with James, at her son, who would never know her either way, at the nurse who'd sung her lullaby to him for 20 years. The biggest decision: would you expose everything publicly for justice, or handle it privately to protect the innocent? "I have a proposal," Victoria said, her CEO voice taking over. "We create a foundation, full transparency within this group. We use our resources to reunite families who want it, provide therapy for everyone affected, and ensure nothing like this ever happens again. But we do it without destroying the lives of the children who were adopted." "And the hospital?" another parent asked. "Pays into the foundation, implements new protocols, and every single person involved in the original conspiracy faces consequences, legal or otherwise." "I'll lose my license," Dr. Chen said quietly. "You should have thought of that 20 years ago. It took 3 hours of negotiation, but they reached an agreement. The Sterling Protocol Foundation would be established with a $100 million endowment. Families could choose their level of involvement. The hospital would cooperate fully. As they were leaving, Sophie tugged on Victoria's hand. "Does this mean you're going to be my mommy now? Like, for real?" Victoria knelt down to Sophie's level. "That depends on what you and your daddy want. He's been your parent all this time. I don't want to confuse you, or I want 2 parents," Sophie said simply. "Daddy said Mommy Sarah went to heaven. But you were supposed to be in heaven too, and you're not. So maybe I get to have you instead." James cleared his throat. "We can figure this out, slowly, together, whatever's best for Sophie." Over the next months, they did figure it out. Victoria gradually became part of Sophie's life, not replacing James or the mother who'd raised her for 3 years, but adding to her family. Wednesdays and weekends at first, then more. The Sterling Protocol Foundation quietly reunited 7 families. The others chose to maintain the status quo, but with open communication. Dr. Chen lost his license and served 2 years in minimum security prison. Valentine Hospital paid out settlements totaling $500 million. Victoria's son, she named him Thomas finally, remained in the hospital, but now she visited daily. She read to him, sang to him, held his hand. The doctor said he couldn't hear her, but Mary the nurse swore he was calmer when Victoria was there. A year later, something extraordinary happened that no one expected. Victoria was reading to Thomas, Sophie coloring beside her, when his eyes moved. Not vacant anymore, but tracking, following Sophie as she moved around the room. "Get the doctor," Victoria whispered to James, who'd started joining them on visits. The tests revealed what the doctors called impossible. Thomas's brain was rewiring itself, slowly, minimally, but definitely. He began responding to voices, then touch. 6 months later, he squeezed Victoria's hand. He would never be normal, would never walk or talk, but he was there, present, aware. "It's like he was waiting," Mary the nurse said, "waiting for his real mother to find him." Sophie, now 6, had become Thomas's fiercest protector. She brought him drawings, told him about school, sang "You Are My Sunshine" in her little voice. "He's my brother," she'd tell anyone who asked. "He was lost, but we found him." 3 years after that first meeting in the park, Victoria stood in a different boardroom, not at the hospital, but at Boston's FBI headquarters. The Sterling Protocol had been bigger than anyone imagined. Interstate, involving hospitals across New England. 68 families, hundreds of lives affected. "We need your testimony," the lead investigator said. "All of you, to stop this from ever happening again." Victoria looked at James, her partner now in ways that transcended legal definitions. At Sophie, confident and loved, she thought of Thomas, making progress no one thought possible. "We'll testify," she said, publicly, if necessary. The trial lasted 6 months. The Sterling Protocol became national news. Families across the country came forward with similar stories. The adoption industry was reformed. Hospital protocols were revolutionized. Helen Sterling was posthumously charged with conspiracy, her fortune liquidated to compensate victims. But Victoria kept her mother's letter, reading it sometimes late at night, trying to understand how love could go so wrong. 5 years after the park bench meeting, Victoria no longer ran a media empire. She'd sold it, using the proceeds to expand the foundation. She worked full-time advocating for adoption reform and supporting families affected by medical deception. Sophie, now 10, was thriving. She spent equal time with Victoria and James, who'd become best friends through their shared custody arrangement. "I have the weirdest family," Sophie would say proudly, "but it's the best family." Thomas had defied every medical prediction. While still severely disabled, he could now communicate through a special computer, expressing simple thoughts and feelings. His first full sentence, painstakingly typed over an hour: "Love, my sister, Sophie." The park bench where it all started now bore a small plaque in memory of the lost children of the Sterling Protocol. May truth always find its way to light. Victoria still sat there sometimes, no longer alone, usually with Sophie reading beside her, or James bringing coffee or pushing Thomas's wheelchair so he could feed the ducks. One day, Sophie asked, "Do you think Grandma Helen is sorry? Like, really sorry?" Victoria considered. "I think she loved me in a broken way. She thought protecting me from pain was love, but real love means telling the truth, even when it hurts. Is that why you told the FBI everything, even though it made our family look bad?" "Exactly. Secrets are like poison, Sophie. They might seem like protection, but they slowly kill everything they touch." Sophie nodded solemnly, then brightened. "Well, we don't have any more secrets, right?" Victoria pulled her close. "No more secrets, ever." But that evening, James pulled Victoria aside. "There's something Dr. Chen said during his sentencing, something about Helen's letter. He said she left out one detail." "What detail?" "The Sterling Protocol didn't end in 2010. It just went underground. Different hospitals, different names. He said Helen knew but chose not to reveal everything because—" James paused. "Because what?" "Because your father isn't really dead. He's been hiding in Switzerland for 15 years, running the European version of the protocol. Helen helped him fake his death when the guilt became too much. Dr. Chen has proof." Victoria felt the world tilt again. Her father, alive, still perpetrating the same crime. She looked at Sophie playing with Thomas, at the life they'd built from the ashes of lies, and made a decision. "Then we're going to Switzerland. We're ending this, all of it, forever." Boo, the biggest question of all, if you discovered your dead parent was alive and still committing the same crimes, would you turn them in, even if it meant losing them forever? 6 months later, Victoria stood in a Swiss courthouse, testifying against her father. Richard Sterling, aged 73, faced life in prison for his role in what investigators now call the largest adoption trafficking ring in modern history. 400 families across 12 countries. "You were my daughter," he said from the defendant's table. "How could you?" "I was your daughter," Victoria replied. "How could you?" The verdict was guilty on all counts. As they left the courthouse, Sophie held Victoria's hand. "Are you sad about grandfather?" "I'm sad about who he turned out to be, but I'm not sad about telling the truth." "Good," Sophie said, "because lies are like poison, remember?" "I remember." They flew back to Boston that night. James met them at the airport with Thomas, who typed a message on his computer. "Family is truth plus love." Victoria kissed his forehead. "You're absolutely right, my brilliant boy." 10 years after the park bench meeting, Victoria published a memoir, The Daughter Who Lived, a Sterling Protocol survivor's story. It became a bestseller, with all proceeds going to the foundation. At the book launch, Sophie, now 15 and passionate about medical ethics, gave a speech. "My birth mother was told I was dead. I was told she was nobody special. We lost 20 years of truth for a lie dressed up as protection. But here's what I learned. Family isn't about blood or papers or who raised you. It's about who shows up, who tells the truth, who chooses love over comfort. I have an unusual family. A birth mom who became my friend first, then my mother. An adoptive dad who loved me enough to share me. A disabled brother who teaches me strength every day, and a legacy of truth-telling that I'll carry forward. To anyone out there living with secrets that feel too big to reveal, tell them. The truth might hurt at first, but lies hurt forever, and you deserve a life built on truth." The audience erupted in applause. Victoria, James, and Thomas, in his wheelchair, smiling as much as his condition allowed, stood together. A family forged from deception, but rebuilt with truth. Later that night, as Victoria tucked Sophie into bed, a ritual they'd maintained even as Sophie grew older, Sophie asked one final question. "If you could go back, would you change everything? Make it so the lie never happened?" Victoria thought carefully. "If I could prevent the pain, the lost years, the suffering, yes. But if changing it meant not having you exactly as you are, not having Thomas, not having the family we built, never. Even with all the hurt, even with all the hurt. Because the hurt led to healing, the lies led to truth, the brokenness led to wholeness. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us become the foundation for the best things we build. Sophie smiled. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. Always have, even when I thought you were gone. As Victoria turned off the light, Sophie added sleepily, Oh, I forgot. There's a girl in my class, Emma. She's adopted and just found out her birth certificate might be fake. I told her about the foundation. Is that okay? Victoria paused. Another family, another lie, another chance to make things right. That's more than okay. Bring her by tomorrow, we'll help. Because that's what they did now. They found the lost children, exposed the lies, rebuilt the families. One truth at a time. The Sterling Protocol was over. But the Sterling Protocol Foundation would continue as long as there were secrets to expose and families to heal. And somewhere in Boston, a park bench stood as a reminder that sometimes the most devastating revelations lead to the most beautiful resurrections. That truth, no matter how painful, is always better than the prettiest lie. That sometimes a little girl with a teddy bear can change everything, just by asking one simple question. I know who you really are. Final question. After hearing this story, do you believe some lies are told out of love? Or is a lie always wrong, no matter the intention? And if you discovered your life was built on a lie this big, would you want to know? Share your thoughts below. The truth will set you free. But first, it will destroy everything you thought you knew. And sometimes, that's exactly what needs to happen.